Beautiful Thursday. Thank you for joining us on Signature Evening. This is where we catch up on so many things that has been happening in our dear country, Nigeria, and all over the world. Politics, entertainment, just name it. It's always here on Signature Evening. Thank you so much for joining us every 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I am Quinsley Rowland.
My name is Christopher Lele. It's really exciting to be here. Tonight is going to be an amazing one. Because we have a couple of things we shall be looking at tonight. We have on our highlight, WAEC goes CBT. I just hope they are ready for that. Do you think they are?
Oh, I mean, it's making rounds on the internet, the newspapers and everything. So yeah, we are ready for that conversation.
All right, and of course, our usual is the political circle that will be coming up on the hour of 9. Of course, stay tuned for more exciting content just on this very, very signature evening. Please don't go nowhere.
We are local.
The international community is observing every
Just finished taking
Why the main market is in chaos. People are
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
All right, welcome back. Of course, based on popular demand, we shall be looking at something that we did some time on the show. We'll be looking at the abuse of Igbo culture and also something that is related to that you don't want to miss. Please stay with us after this replay.
We are local.
The international community is observing every
Just finished taking
why the main market is in chaos. People are
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket. Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Back, and a quote before we start the conversation is: justice belongs to those who claim it, but let the claimant beware lest he creates new justice by his claim and thus sets the bloody pendulum to revenge into its inexorable motion, which is by Frank Herbert. The United States of America recently announced sweeping changes to its non-immigrant visa policy for some African countries, cutting the duration and conditions under which most travelers from those countries can enter. The United States Department of State says nearly all non-immigrants and non-diplomatic visas issued to citizens of the 3 countries will now be single entry and valid for only 3 months. It says this is part of a global reciprocity realignment, a sharp shift from previous visa terms, and also which often allowed for multiple entries over 2 years or more. Nigeria, on the issue of reciprocity by the US has denied reports that it only offers single entry e-visas for 3 months to US citizens. The Nigerian government has therefore expressed its concern, describing the move as disappropriate and calling for reconsideration. And to have the conversation on the US visa restrictions on Nigeria, our in-studio guest, who is Dr. Emeka Ofor. He is a global thought leader. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
Thank you, and welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. So let's dive right in. Most Nigerians might not really understand what this particular development is all about. Could you just give us a background of what this means? Hence.
Okay, so thank you for that question. Basically, what it is all about is about movement of people between countries. And in this particular case, the government of the United States, through its Department of State, has decided to update its visa protocol. The implication is that before now, any person from Nigeria, or indeed African countries, because most of this policy did not affect only Nigeria.
Of course.
It affected about 31 other African countries. So basically, in this instance, what happens is that when you want to travel to another country, you have to apply for a visa to be able to enter that country. And within that process, you also, if you are granted a visa, you are expected to stay within a certain validity period. It could be 30 days, it could be 6 months. The visa could be a single entry or multiple entry. Before this decision by the United States government, which was announced on the 8th of July, to restrict or reduce the validity to just basically 3 months and single entry, Nigerians could get visas to the United States for 2 years, 5 years, as the case may be. Now, for going forward, based on that announcement by the US mission in Nigeria, Nigerians can only get visa to the United States for a validity period of 3 months, and it should be single entry.
Okay, so what exactly are the key factors that had influenced this particular decision?
Basically, if you look at the statement by the United States mission in Nigeria, apparently they were quoting from release by the Department of State in the United States. Basically, they want to strengthen their systems. Okay, so that they complained about several things, but key issue there is that they were talking about reciprocity. The reciprocity, in simple terms, means that when a government acts, another government, that decision is affecting, is expected to respond. And usually they respond in the same manner. So if you, in Nigerian parlance, they call it do me, I do you. You know, so but basically that's what it is. And that is the core instrument or tool that countries use to relate themselves. They look at the reciprocity. And that reciprocity can be in terms of visa, movement of people across borders. It could be in terms of trade, you know, when the country is dealing or trading with another country. And it could just be merely diplomatic relationships. So in this particular case, we are talking about visa. The American government is saying that they are applying reciprocity, which tends to suggest that maybe Nigeria did something in terms of visa. And a lot of people are claiming it had to do with the e-visas. Because in the e-visas, which is basically like a standard, you see a situation whereby it's for 3 months. But that does not negate that you could get other visas or durations. But that's why the Nigerian government has decided to deny that they will actually test the post. But basically, the government of America has clarified that it is not just about certain things that people are claiming out there, things like maybe because Nigeria wants to be a member of the BRICS, maybe because the American government is talking about third-party deportees. You know, when you see American government trying to convince some African countries to allow them send deportees to their countries. And then there are several other issues that have to do with security and other issues.
I was coming to the aspect of security because I saw the statement where it said that if these security challenges are not fixed in the said countries, then they would be part of those to make the list. So because of this particular situation, I think it was given a period of about 2 months to be fixed. Is that a reasonable period of time to resolve whatever security challenges that a country has?
So the Nigerian government, let me respond this way. The Nigerian government also released a statement, and in that statement, they said that they are already working on fixing whatever needs to be fixed. So, but basically, they are looking at their systems. They want it's like a review, global review of their immigration protocol, which means that they want to strengthen their system to avoid loopholes that unauthorized people can take advantage of to enter into the country, because there are issues of overstay, for example. There are issues that have to do with making sure that the travel documents are secure, and that the person who is on the passport, for example, on the travel document, is the person that the person claims to be. And then there are issues also around sharing information in terms of security and in terms of several other things that they're interested in. For the American government, the real issue for them, based on the releases that they have made so far and the clarification that they have made so far, is that they want to beef up, strengthen the integrity of the immigration process.
Okay, so with this particular situation, how could these new developments affect Nigerians and people that have families over there, students, professionals that have ties with the United States?
So Nigerians and the United States of America have already been enjoying people-to-people relationship. Some people have their families over there. Some people want to go to the United States, for example, to study. And then some people travel to the United States for tourism and for business. So this particular restriction or reduction in the validity basically affects non-immigrant visas and non-diplomatic visas, especially the B1, B2. The B1 has to do with business visas, people that use that visa to travel to the United States on business. Then the B2 is about the tourist visa, those that just want to go on holiday, on vacation, they want to go for sightseeing. And it also affects the F visas that have to do with students. A lot of Nigerians travel to the United States to study. And then the J visas that have to do with cultural exchange or exchanges between two countries. So those are the key ones that were majorly affected. The implication for Nigeria is that if you are going for business, then you have to use only a single entry visa. And you have only a validity period of
3 months.
3 months. So what it means is that if you want to travel to the United States on business, well, you have to go to get visa every time you want to travel. Unlike before, if you have a 5-year visa
with the multiple entry option,
you can go several times without visiting it. It increases your cost. It increases the cost of doing business, because every time you travel, you have to make arrangements, you have to pay hotel bills, you have to pay visa fees, and so on and so forth. So it increases your cost of doing business. And it will affect Nigerians, because most of the time we import into the country. And then for students, you see students that are already there, it will affect them if they are going forward. The good thing is that, well, should I say the good thing? It did not affect government-to-government relationships. So those that are in government that wants to travel is not affecting them.
Okay.
And then also those who already have existing visas that were issued, multiple entry visas, for example, that were issued before July 8th. So those ones are not affected.
Okay.
So when it comes to businesses, when we're looking at relationships, family that you mentioned, it means that you have to go and get another visa anytime you want to enter the United States.
Okay, so what exactly would you say are going to be the likely economic implication of this particular development?
So it will be huge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it will be substantial in the sense that not just for Nigeria, also for the United States. For Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians travel, a lot of Nigeria import, a lot of Nigeria rely on the United States for several things. In terms of education, a lot of Nigerians will want to go to the United States to study. So the implication is that they will still be able to go, but it may be more expensive. So for instance, if you're a student and you are going, your visa will not allow you to stay more than 3 months. So the only way you can go to the United States as a student is if you are going for a short course of maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month.
Does that even help?
It doesn't help. It doesn't help. But you should also bear in mind that the Trump administration, even before, during his campaign, made certain promises, and he's trying to fulfill those promises in terms of his overall immigration ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically for business, it will also affect businesses in Nigeria. Maybe Nigerians that used to travel to the United States will have to look for other countries to do businesses with.
Okay. You just mentioned that the angle it affects Nigerian economy. So how is it affecting United States economy?
Oh, it will affect United States economy in the sense that when Nigerians travel to the United States, they spend money, they invest in that economy.
Okay.
When you travel to a city in the United States, you buy things. So that means you are introducing funds into the country. That will be affected by if you reduce the number of people and the quantum of visits. The school fees that we pay in dollars will also reduce, because if I can't send my ward or my child to study, I won't send money to pay his school fees. Because, I mean, if he's doing a 2-year course, a 3-year course, and I have 3 months validity, single entry, that means before the expiration of 3 months, I have to come back to Nigeria and then apply for visa and go back again. Okay. So there are implications and costs and inconvenience to do with that.
So do you think this particular situation is going to encourage, a form of discourage collaboration, not encourage collaboration?
Wow. Every action has consequences. But in this case, the good thing about it is that if you read the text by the U.S. mission in Nigeria, it's not a closed engagement. The statement also stated that they were already talking with the government of Nigeria. They are applying diplomatic measures to solve the problem. And what Nigeria needs to do is to quickly hasten action in terms of meeting the security and technical benchmarks that the U.S. government has stated. Like I said, it's not just about Nigeria. A lot of people have been saying it's about Nigeria only, but from the text, it's clear and obvious, even within diplomatic circles, that what needs to be done should be done.
So under this time frame, is it achievable, the things that need to be put in order for this to be adjusted? Do you think Nigeria can actually meet up with this deadline?
Oh, sure. What I want Nigeria to do is to be intentional about everything it does. If there is a will, there will be a way. There will be a way if there is a will.
Okay, so how might Nigeria also respond to the diplomatic or legislative in order to reverse or challenge the restrictions?
Okay, so I think what Nigeria should do, Nigeria needs to do a series of initiatives quickly Number one is that the government of America mentioned reciprocity. And I mentioned that reciprocity is the core of international relations, of diplomatic relations. So Nigeria should apply that tool in addressing this issue. One thing about reciprocity is that it's also a tool that governments or nations use to negotiate.
Okay.
So when a government wants you to act in a particular way towards it, they apply that instrument. So for instance, if I want you to issue visas to your citizens for 3 months, then I'll start by giving you 3 months, giving your citizens 3 months visa. If I want 5 years, I'll give your citizens 5 years so that so in this case, I suspect that the American government wants Nigeria to improve the integrity of its immigration system. You know, recently Nigeria introduced the e-visas. And that introduction of that reform was basically to make it seamless, easier for people to get visa. But it may have thrown up some other challenges that maybe the American government is trying to correct. There has been some reports of unaddressed security concerns. There has been some concerns about Nigerians overstaying when they go to the United States. So the concern should be for Nigeria to quickly introduce measures that will encourage its citizens to respect the terms and conditions of the visa. So if you are given single entry and you are supposed to have a maximum validity period of 3 months, go to the United States, do your business and come back. Apply again. Once you keep respecting that validity period or the terms and conditions of the visa, I guess, and I believe rightly, that there will be no problem with your travel documents. They will issue visas to you based on the fact that you have been able to utilize and obey and respect the visa they granted to you. Okay. Number two is for Nigeria to ask the question, why are Nigerians moving in their numbers? You know, Nigeria raised a concern about disproportionate burden on Nigerians. And that disproportionate burden is mainly because more Nigerians go to the United States than citizens of the United States come to Nigeria. So on the scale of balance, it will affect Nigeria more. So because those that will travel will not be able to travel, those that will go to school will not be able to go to school as comfortably as they could have done it in the past. So Nigeria should, in the first instance, try to address some of these key issues that encourage Nigerians to stay in another country. If there are issues that will help Nigeria, those are like reducing inflation, for example, reducing the cost of food, improving on infrastructure, improving the ease of doing business, and then making it safer for Nigerians to stay in their own countries. Nigeria, like I said before, needs to be intentional about some of these things. Another thing is for Nigeria to quickly initiate actions and begin to introduce reforms in line with global standards. Okay, so America is saying that the reason why we are making this update is simply to protect the integrity of our immigration systems. So every country has immigration laws, and it's those laws that form the bedrock of the visas they give people that will come into their country, for example, and how long they will stay. It's those the immigration law that provides an answer to those kind of questions. So if Nigeria has already done the e-visa, are there issues in the e-visa that are of concerns to other countries? Incidentally, it's not even only the United States that have imposed sanctions on Nigeria.
Even the
United States Kingdom, United Arab Emirates. In fact, the one for United Arab Emirates is even more worrisome, because it has been a long-standing battle for some years now. Presently, what they expect you to do is to, if you are between the ages of 18 and 45, you have to get somebody to accompany you.
So you should be older.
You should be older. And then when you are older, they say you should have $10,000 domiciled in your account for a period of 6 months on a monthly basis. So when you convert that to Naira, you now know what we are talking about and how many people will keep $10,000 in their current accounts for that purpose. I think another thing that Nigeria also needs to do is to basically deepen relationships with the United States. Presently, Nigeria does not have an ambassador at the United States. We do not have an ambassador. When this issue happened, the Nigerian government, led by the Minister of Interior, went to the American Embassy in Nigeria and met with the ambassador. We need to build trust, especially with key countries who have a sitting ambassador in that country or in those countries who can quickly address issues and represent the interest of Nigeria in those countries. Okay. That is very important in building trust. And then once you build trust, you deepen those relationships so that when they want to, like I mentioned before, only 31 countries in Africa were affected. What happened to the remaining number that made up 55 nations in Africa?
Maybe they met up with the terms.
Exactly. And it's all about relationship. It's all about relationship. So Nigeria should be intentional about deepening relationship with the United States of America, with the United Kingdom, with United Arab Emirates, and indeed the key economies of the world.
Okay. So how exactly, or rather to what extent, is the Nigerian internal immigration services responsible for this particular ban from the US?
So Nigeria has denied that it has nothing to do with their policies and it has nothing to do with their immigration laws. They mentioned that they are willing to engage the government of the United States to resolve whatever issues they have. But like I said, the United States government were clear in their clarifications they gave that they just want to strengthen the integrity of their immigration system. They want to be sure that the people who enter the country are the people who should enter their country. That they will not enter with 1 month visa or 5-year visa and then they will overstay their welcome. And that Nigeria should also begin to share security information with them. I don't know, maybe Nigeria has not been sharing, because if you watch the release they did after the first meeting, after the meeting with the United States Embassy in Nigeria, one of the things that came out from that meeting had to do with strengthening the integrity of our systems. The process we use to get people to issue our travel documents and to increase the security of the documents itself. And then the second one had to do with that information, sharing information on criminals. The United States will not, or indeed no country will want criminals to come into their country. So if somebody is identified as a criminal or poses security threats, they expect that the two countries will work together to control that menace. Okay, and so those are the key concerns. So if Nigeria can do those things, I believe that the issue will be resolved. And why I believe so is that the government-to-government relationship between the government of the United States and the government of Nigeria remains intact. It's not affected because they can still go and apply and get visas for 5 years, 2 years, as the case may be.
So how does this particular situation balance the security needs and also the economic and cultural exchange that between Nigeria and the United States?
It does balance it. I mentioned reciprocity, right? And reciprocity is also a tool that nations use to balance those items like the security, the economic consideration. And I mentioned trade. So they use it also to say, yes, I'm giving you this quantum of trade, you need to give me this quantum. So there should be balance of payments, as the case may be. And so it is very important for countries to take this process very seriously, in the sense that it has wide-ranging implications on business and then on the socio-economic development of both countries.
So, okay, let's look at the solution angle. What steps can be taken in order to resolve this particular situation, in order to make the United States feel like there's a proper relationship between Nigeria and them as well?
Is dialogue. The basic tool that we use in diplomatic relationship is to engage. And I'm happy that Nigeria responded swiftly. Going forward, it will be better to be proactive and don't wait for things to happen or to go bad before you start to react. But I give it to Nigeria that in this case, Nigeria responded swiftly. The announcement came out on the 8th, and I think by the 9th, the minister and his team had already gone to the embassy to sort it out. So whatever agreement they reached at that meeting, Nigeria should begin immediately to implement those agreed resolutions.
Okay, so let's look at the situation where this talk might take some time. What exactly should the Nigerian citizen do for people that have plans to travel to the United States for this particular period of time that this policy has been brought to the table?
So Nigerians should basically go to the embassy and apply for visas.
It's just for 3 months.
Yes. Most validity, most visas actually, except for multiple entry. If you are going for business, for example, you don't need to stay in America for 3 months to do your business. The people that I feel it will affect more are the students. But I'm sure with negotiation and engagement between government, it will be resolved. I don't think it's a permanent decision. I mean, this is not the first time the government of America is issuing restrictions on Nigeria. And the good thing about it is that they did not say Nigerians should not come to the United States. All they are saying is that they are limiting the validity period of their visa. I've been to countries where they gave me a visa for only 7 days.
Really?
Yes, I've been to a country. My visa was for 7 days. I just went in, did my business, came out.
And you finished this business under 7 days?
It was a conference, so it was a 2-day conference. I didn't need 3 months. And after my conference, I came back. Okay. It was a business conference.
Okay, so far, what do experts have to say about this particular situation?
There has been variety of diverse opinions by experts, and people were making claims or assumptions, and most of the time in diplomatic issues people tend to read between the lines. So if a country has an issue with another country and they are throwing out statements for the public, they may not say exactly what the issues are. And like I said, countries use reciprocity to engage and negotiate and influence the decision of other countries. So if they want to go in a particular direction, they think through the process of what they need to do to get that person to come to the table. So in this case, several analysts or several experts have come out with their opinions. Some have said it's because Nigeria joined the BRICS. Some have said it's because of the refusal of Nigeria to allow the United States to bring in third country deportees into Nigeria. Some have come up with several indices or assumptions of what they feel could have been responsible for those issues. But I would like to stick with the statement by the United States government. want. That they just want to strengthen the integrity of their system. There is a global review going on at the moment, and that if we can quickly strengthen the integrity of our system, that's good for us. Not just even for getting, for Nigerians to be able to get visas to the United States on multiple entry terms, but it is also important for Nigeria to take this as a lesson point.
Okay.
Or a learning point.
You had mentioned earlier that Nigerians that travel there and their stay time had already expired. Instead of coming back as they're supposed to, they rather stick around, and this is actually a problem to the United States. With this particular situation, what should be done in order to avoid situations like this? Maybe from the Nigerian government angle, in order to help the relationship that they have already with the United States, and not because of situations like this. We keep getting reports about Nigerians that have refused to come back due to the expiration of their visas.
I think that it's not only Nigerians that overstay their visas, period. I know that even in Africa, a country like Algeria is reputed for overstaying.
I mean, we will not be worried about Algeria if we are not Algerians.
Exactly.
So just be worried about
So for Nigerians, and indeed, it's not only Nigerians. I just mentioned Algeria in passing. There are several other countries where people overstay their visa. And even in Nigeria, some countries, some people that come to Nigeria also overstay their visa. So it's a global problem. The solution for me is to ensure that you improve the well-being of your citizens. Do have a reorientation whereby your country, your citizens begin to love their country and be ambassadors and be proud and patriotic about their country. And they can only do that when the environment is conducive. And then there is need for mass reorientation for Nigerians to obey visa restrictions or visa terms. If we begin to do that, it's not a short-term measure, because when you talk of reorientation, you need to let people understand. You need to mount a campaign to say, when you travel, please obey your visa terms, so that you can get visa to travel to that country again. Because once you flout visa guidelines or visa terms, the next time you go there, they will not grant you visa. So that's the way I see it. And then the everybody's business, not just the government. The need to build trust is important. The need to build trust is important between both nations.
Okay, so let's say peradventure at the end of this conversation that they are having, and we still don't meet up with the deadline and the things that you're supposed to do in order to reverse this particular visa restriction, or rather adjust it a bit, what's going to be the fate of Nigerians?
Basically, I see Nigeria meeting the times.
Oh, really?
Yes, Nigeria will meet
even with the security issues that we still have in Nigeria currently.
So when they talk about security issues, they are not referring only to insecurity.
Okay.
They are referring mainly to the process of issuing travel documents. There may be these concerns that people can get passports anyhow. Non-Nigerians, for example, can get passports, allegations. But Nigeria has been strengthening that process. For instance, you cannot get Nigerian passport without having a name, NIN, right? So when you have NIN, you also need to, you also have to go back to strengthen the process of getting NIN. Maybe you might need to be identified by somebody, by the chairman or your traditional ruler.
Just to be sure.
Just to be sure that, yes, this person is from our village, is from our town. So, and then that the travel documents you are also giving them are secure. They have all the required security marks on them. There was a time that somebody can travel with a passport that is not his. But that was in days, years ago, or decades ago. But now, there are biometric indicators that you will check. There are so many things embedded, security features embedded in the passport. So you can't do that any longer. So those are the issues. So what Nigeria needs to do in this instance is not that they should even complete the whole thing, but there should be a clear indication that Nigeria is following that path. There was a time that there were restrictions on Nigeria. Nigerians was blacklisted, and that had to do with issues about corruption, issues about drug, and so on. And then the process had to go in such a way that they were watching Nigeria. They set up NDLE, they set up EFCC, they set up something. So it's a statement of intent that we are working towards achieving that rule. And I believe that if they see that intention on the part of Nigeria, they will lift the sanctions. They don't have to wait until they've completed the entire process, because even the American government has not completed theirs. That's why they say they are reviewing it, to bring it to global standards, best practice. So is that intention? That's why I keep talking about Nigeria being intentional in whatever they do. If you want to be on that list, if you want to be excluded, there are things that you need to do. Get cracking and do it. It can be done in 1 month, 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we still have time to cover up whatever it is and give
can.
hope to the people.
We can.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution on this particular subject matter. Our guest is Dr. Emeka Ofo. He is a global thought leader. The conversation is on the U.S. visa restriction on Nigeria. We'll go on a short break, and after this, we will have we'll have an interview replayed for you.
We are local.
The international community is observing every
Just finish speaking.
Why the main market is in chaos. People are
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald
11
Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature